What widely accepted fact do you know is wrong? Goldfishes really do not have a memory span of 5 seconds. They actually remember things for months, recognize their owners, and are able to distinguish them from other people. I had 2 goldfish when I was younger. Their names were Paula and Mr. Fishy. When Mr. Fishy died, Paula spent the next couple of days frantically swimming around the tank trying to find him. It was heartbreaking to watch. That cracking your knuckles too often will cause arthritis. Healthy joints actually are more prone to cracking popping than arthritic joints. This is because the smooth surfaces in healthy joints combined with the synovial fluid can sometimes make a sort of vacuum that makes the popping noise when it's released, basically like releasing a suction cup. Napoleon wasn't small. He was just a victim of good propaganda by the eventual winners. Also, his personal guard had a strict height requirement, so he was always around someone taller than him. That, and at the time the French were using a different sized inch than the English, so his official French height sounded small to the English, who were used to bigger numbers for height. That medieval ancient people only lived to be 32 years old, and at that age, they were considered ancient. That estimate is an average, which means it accounts for high infant-child mortality. Lots of ancient people lived to their 80s and older. If you made it to 30, chances are good you're making it another 30+ years. Schizophrenia has nothing to do with a split personality. There is also a pretty big difference between someone being moody and someone who has bipolar disorder. Drives me crazy when someone says that someone is so bipolar if they change their minds often or are in a bad mood. People generally don't know about the severity of the ups and downs. NASA spent a bunch of money inventing a pen that worked in space, and the Russians used pencils. Total bollocks. The Fisher Pen Company was independent and developed its space pen with zero investment from NASA. American astronauts began using mechanical pencils in space. Tiny fragments of graphite and graphite dust floating around the spacecraft was not ideal because graphite is conductive. It's also combustible, so everyone was keen to find an alternative. Fisher patented its first zero-gravity pen in 1965, and in 1967 NASA began using it. By 1969, Russia were also buying them for their space missions. Reportedly, both NASA and the Soviet Space Company received the same discount for their bulk purchases. That you have to wait 24 hours to report someone missing in the USA. There is no law about waiting, you don't have to. Push to make the police cooperate and list the person missing immediately when you suspect something isn't right. Don't lose precious time. It's extremely important if the person truly is missing. We are experiencing a temporary high volume of phone calls. Your call is important to us. This and please listen carefully as our options have recently changed. The first is to make people more likely to wait happily. Second is to try and get them to pay attention to the options which haven't been changed in 20 years. If you tell the truth, I won't get mad. This is exactly the same as saying, if you confess, you won't go in jail. That you swallow 8 spiders a year in your sleep. The origins of that myth is so weird. It made its way around message boards in the 90s and possibly earlier. Then at some point, the Snopes Usenet board pre-website claimed that the myth was invented by a tech journalist who wanted to illustrate how lies spread on the internet. Except that Snopes lied, the journalist never existed. So now there's a second layer to the myth, that being the myth of who invented it and why. People definitely expected the Spanish Inquisition. That we only use 10% of our brain. So what, like 12%? Saying we use 10% of our brain is like saying we only use 1/3 of our traffic lights. We use 100% of the brain, but we are never using all the zones at the same time. That chloroform quickly knocks you out. It takes minutes to knock you out, not the seconds you see in TV and movies. The bigger myth is that any idiot can safely render someone unconscious with minimal effort. No, there's actually a fine art to that process, and we pay people a ton of money to do it. They're called anesthesiologists. The problem is that the difference between enough to reliably knock this specific person out for an hour and so much it kills them is vanishingly small. It's terrifyingly easy to kill someone with the kind of meds that knock people out. People didn't think the Earth was flat 500 years ago. It was theorized to be round in the 5th century BC. The Americas were just not known yet, except to indigenous Americans, and it was believed that there was a vast ocean between Europe and Asia. People believed Columbus' voyage would fail because he would exhaust his food and supplies before crossing it. The Chinese also knew the Earth was round earlier than that and even sent expeditions to map it, but they mostly got lost, did pirate stuff, or sank during storms. Way better boats than Columbus had though. Didn't some ancient Greek figure out the Earth was round because he had some friends measure shadows of the same object and same time in Egypt and Greece? Eratosthenes. We are here for you during these unprecedented times. I work in higher education. They have been saying this throughout the pandemic. They announced yesterday that staff will not receive their annual raise or bonus. They have also furloughed staff. Faculty, which includes administration, will receive those raises and bonus, and none have been furloughed. Even in the email where they told us we would not receive the raise or the bonus, it was this shit. We're here for you, we appreciate you, blah blah blah. That the McDonald's hot coffee lawsuit was absurd and unjustified. That coffee wasn't just hot, it was very hot, spilling it in her lap, which should have just ruined Stella Liebeck's pants and maybe given her first-degree burns, caused third-degree burns, and fused her genitals shut. She needed not only skin grafts but horrifyingly painful, expensive reconstructive surgery. When Liebeck initially contacted McDonald's, all she asked was that they cover her $20,000 hospital bills. They counteroffered for $800, so she took them to court. Even then, she didn't ask for punitive damages. The jury heard about MCD's insulting counteroffer, and the fact that their coffee had seriously burned 700 people already. They damn well knew about the danger, they just didn't care, and were so incensed that they added the extra millions on their own. The only reason people think of that case as an example of so-happy American culture gone wrong is that McDonald's poured millions into a smear campaign after the fact. If you asked me, it was actually our justice system working exactly as it should. Cutting your hair makes it grow faster, or shaving makes it thicker. It is actually true to a certain extent. The first batch of hair that grows sort of tapers off at the top. So when you shave and the hair regrows, it now only regrows with the thicker end, giving the illusion of increased volume. There are some idiots out there who believe shaving will give them hair where it doesn't grow. If you have a cold, you should get lots of vitamin C. This is completely down to one scientist called Linus Pauling, who had a theory that massive doses of vitamin C would cure colds. Subsequent studies have shown he was wrong, and any benefits are minimal at best. Yet I still get everyone telling me to drink orange juice whenever I get a sniffle. My dad has smoked for 45 years and still thinks he's fine because he drinks a glass of orange juice every day. Left and right-brained, people who are either more artistic or more numbers-based. Just as inaccurate as the parts of your tongue that taste different things, yet people still say it. I really wish people wouldn't limit their own potential like that. Sorry, I just don't do math. I'm more of a creative type. Or, oh, I think too logically for art. Like what? Look at Leonardo da Vinci. The dude invented a flying machine and painted the Mona Lisa at the same time. Creativity and logic are not mutually exclusive. Sugarcane grows faster on sand. Well, you can blame Minecraft for that one. Same with diamonds are blue. Blue diamonds are actually one of the rarest color of diamond. The Great Wall of China can be seen from space. Space, however, can be seen from the Great Wall of China. LOL, this guy believes in space. Astronomer here. People always say Jupiter protects us from getting hit by asteroids because its larger gravitational pull attracts them. I believe it was on a certain popular astronomy show. In fact, this does not appear to be the case. See, while Jupiter does indeed interact with more things, it is both good and bad. Some things hit Jupiter or get flung away. Some things get flung directly at Earth that otherwise wouldn't. Most famously, in 1770 Lexell's comet passed closer to Earth than any other comet ever observed, missing us by just 6 Earth-moon widths. Turns out Jupiter flung it straight at us right before that. So yeah, we almost died thanks to Jupiter, and good and bad comes from having it as a neighbor. Glass is actually an extremely viscous, slow-flowing liquid. That's why old windows are thicker on the bottom. No, it isn't. It's very clearly a solid. It's a disordered, non-crystalline solid, but still solid. Old windows are thicker on the bottom because they were designed that way. Frankenstein isn't the name of the monster. It's the name of the doctor who created the monster. But I saw this great comment on a YouTube video. Knowledge is knowing Frankenstein isn't the monster. Wisdom is knowing that Frankenstein is the monster. That different places on your tongue taste different things such as sour. Wait, what? I was taught this literally today in bio class. When you go to the class next week, take a salt shaker with you. Ask the teacher to put salt on a non-salt tasting zone on their tongue. Ask them if they can taste the salt. Spoiler, they will be able to taste the salt. What widely accepted fact turned out to be false? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.